All right, hello and welcome back to another weekly edition of Stock Market Mutterings. This is for the week starting on January 22nd, which will start on a Tuesday because we get ourselves a day off. And I tell you what, it's never a bad day to have a day off, is it not? So enjoy that day off. Now, what I'm going to try to do here is try to find you some quality trade setups throughout the week. If you guys need help with your trading, take a moment, visit thelinkedlist.com, click on the Trade Room tab. You can start trading with us right away. And also, as most of you already know, my brand new DVD is now finished. It's called Rock Solid: How to Become a Complete Trader, and it is free. As I say, it's my gift to the trading community. I'll post a link up here somewhere if you want to watch it. Go ahead and enjoy. So, if you remember a couple of weeks ago, I did one of these mutterings, and the title was, When Will the Selling Stop? It was madness. It was recessionary. It was doom and gloom and apocalyptic. Here we are 2 weeks later, and I need to do one right now, which I shall title, When is the buying gonna stop? Because this is yet again another V-shaped, vicious rally. Now, I am always going to be one that admits when I am wrong. If I yodel when I'm right, I'll yodel when I'm wrong. And I thought that the SPY here would taper out or tire out somewhere between 255 and 260. Hell no, we're 266, and there's just nothing. Guys, there's just nothing stopping this thing. Now, eventually, just like the selling, when I said back then, it's not going to last forever. This also will not last forever. And we also said back in there, one thing to remind you of is in bear markets or in these corrective markets, they have the biggest rallies. So you're not looking at just one of the biggest corrections in the last decade. You're looking at one of the biggest rallies. I mean, this is a vicious, vicious rally. So where do we go from here? Well, I'd have to say if you're just looking at the market for some numbers and some guides as we move forward. The first part will be, I don't see anything right now, unless something comes out over the long weekend, and maybe even then, because this market has shrugged off bad news, that you've got a pivot here of 260, let's just say 270. You got 270 up here in this area right here, which was the highs around December 12th. And then you have right here the 200-day moving average on the daily chart, which is about 273. So I would think now with the way that this is behaving, that this is where you end up. Now, if you kind of go back, I said I was wrong about the market there. This is why I always try my very best to trade what I see, not what I believe. Because every time I get in sort of these things where I think something's going to happen and I start doing this, what am I trying to say, like this math equation, beautiful mind, writing like, oh man, the market's going to figure out what I'm figuring out. I'm always wrong. That's why people like me, we just trade charts. That's why you trade charts, because all the information that you need to know about what's happening is right there. It's not whether or not this market is overbought, if it's oversold. Right now, whether this chart looks goofy or whatever, the story behind this chart here is everybody's willing to pay 266.5 for this. And maybe Tuesday they'll be willing to pay 270. Who knows? It just seems like a little bit of FOMO going on there. So we'll see how that works out. Now, if we take a look at the downside, I think and get any acceleration, we're going to have to close underneath of that 50 moving average right there on the daily, which was just roughly slightly lower than the lows that were on Friday. Let's just say around 262.5, somewhere down there on this 50 moving average, just as a guide. And if you maybe get under there, you get a little bit of acceleration that moves down into some of those other moving averages. Only time will tell. But again, I'm not so sure because trade deal news comes out. If one headline comes out, it sounds fishy, market goes vertical. Once it comes out and says that really wasn't a true article, market sells off like a nickel. So it doesn't really matter right now. Now let's move to some individual stocks, because this goes to the next part of this, which this is how the market can behave and how irrational a market can be. As I say, the market can be irrational. And this is what's the challenge for you guys when you're trying to learn how to trade, is you can't make sense of every single thing. And I've said that before. So first on the list will have to be Netflix. Now, why I say Netflix is because, again, when I start putting the beautiful mind, algebra equations together in my mind, it just makes you look dumb in the end. I was thinking, and I was telling a lot of people in the room, there must be something up with this Netflix. I think I even said that on the Market Mutterings last week, because I know we got a big rally, and I know a lot of stocks took off. But this thing really took off. When you start looking at beta names down the board, This thing dominated them. And it was 234 on Christmas Eve, or just slightly above, and goes all the way up to 356. I mean, this thing is like $120 since Christmas, and it just did not take a day off. It was the most bullish beta stock known to mankind, the savior of our universe. So they come out and they have earnings. And to be honest, the earnings were a bit of a miss. They're a bit of a disappointment, you know? And to have this thing only down like 4 or 5% or whatever it is off the top of my head here, that's not very much. I mean, consider this thing ran up $1,000 billion. That's obviously an exaggeration. You'd think it would have pulled back more than 14 bucks. Now, maybe it takes a little bit of time. Who knows? But I'd like to watch this one going forward to the short side, because I don't think right now there's much left in this one to sustain the rally. Now, they can always rally, but maybe it just finds a topping out point somewhere here and takes a chill pill, and you can find a little bit of pullback in that. Now, in the case that for somehow it, gets upgraded 82 times, or something happens and you get back above the base of this flag, which is about 360, then I guess, the market might drive it up to 380. Only time will tell. I wouldn't rule that out of the equation. I don't want to sit here and just say we're only on one side of this monster, because you can play both. So watch this one. The other one here, of course, is Tesla, which absolutely got drilled because of layoffs. And again, this kind of shows you the way a market can be irrational. Now, you would think Netflix, with its monster run-up, disappointing on earnings, would be more of a sell-off event than Tesla laying off employees, both which are bad. But it really hit Tesla. Man, it really hit Tesla. And, Tesla's had other news before in the past. But this one looks pretty bad right now. I would like to look at this one short too, possibly on some scalps. Not some scalps, on a bounce. It just really depends on how this thing sets up as the week progresses. Because, it's been dead before and somehow has been resurrected from the tomb of disaster. So who's to say that a PR can't come out? And you got some earnings coming up here in a couple of weeks. We'll see how this one plays out. But I think both Netflix and Tesla are probably, when we start the week, going to give you the most value as far as corrective or bounceable plays that's available. Now, a couple other ones here is, I don't know if I want to look at it. I would go with something like the Facebooks, the NVIDIAs. If they're Baba, King Baba, I would go with Baba, NVIDIA, and who else did I say? Facebook. Baba, NVIDIA, and Facebook would also be under short consideration if, and only if, the market can taper itself back a little bit with its bullishness. Now, when I say taper it back with its bullishness, what I mean is the behavior. See, what traders often do is they'll look at a number and they'll say, that stock is up $5, must be bullish. Stock is down $5, must be bearish. That doesn't always tell the story, just the numbers. That's why we don't always want to look at the market and say that's a gauge of how the economy, or that's a gauge of how the market is. It's the internals. When I say internals, it's how it behaves. So what you're seeing right now in the market is every single dip gets consumed like a hefty paper towel, just sucking up every single pull. Like you got a pull here in the morning, just gets bought back up. Every single one of these have bottoms on these red bars. Can't get anything going. Can't get anything going to the downside. Every dip is bought. Keeps going higher, keeps going higher, keeps going higher, and just keeps grinding it out step by step. So if that changes and it just slows down and you start to see some of these approach earnings, maybe they'll back off a little bit of some of these prices. Again, these things have made some incredible moves, and we knew that was coming. Some of them have stretched a little bit further than I thought they would. But still, you got to keep that in mind, that maybe any type of pullback. I'm not saying we're going back to the lows from December, but keep it in mind if that's the case. Some of these really do have some good short setups, but they had good short setups all week here, and it was no go on those. So keep those on the list there. Baba, Facebook, NVIDIA as potential shorts, and be careful about earnings. Now, one last one here I would like to throw into the mix is baby Netflix, which is called Lulu. I guess people just love Lulu pants. It's Spandex pants is the next thing. Maybe when you put them on, you just lose 40 pounds. Maybe that's what it is. And your cholesterol levels go down, and so does your blood pressure. I have no idea what Lulu's doing. This thing is on a monster run, like a Netflix, where it's just starting to stretch out over some of its other peers with inside of its industry. Again, another one sitting down here just slightly above 110 on Christmas Eve. 152 now. I mean, this, just like I said back in the when the market was selling off, that it's not going to last like this forever. This is not going to last like this either. So maybe this is the week, maybe next week is the week, but at some point these things are going to taper off of this. I don't even want to call it linear run, some meteoric rise to the tops. It's like everything is now, some of this stuff is poking back at all-time highs. So let's watch this one here. I don't have any numbers. To be honest with you, I tried it today. It didn't work. I tried a little short on this thing. In fact, I think I tried it twice this week with no success. And I bought it once with no success. So maybe I should shut the hell up about Lulu. Again, transparent. They had a great week, but this, should I call it a guy, or should I call it ladies? This lovely lady right here, Lulu, was not very kind to me. Perhaps we can kind of meet somewhere in the middle this week and work out our differences. So keep this one up there as a short. So anyway, I'll leave it like that. Enjoy the day off. Enjoy it. If you need some help, you know where I'm at any time. Support at thelincolnlist.com if you just want to ask me a question. Thelincolnlist.com. Trade room tab. You can start trading with us right away. And don't forget about the Rock Solid DVD. It is free. You can watch it at any time you want. So until next week, trade well, take care, and I shall talk to you later.